take part in the Creek Indian War, 1813 to 1814, which this is one of the 5 battles that Andrew Jackson was in, so that's what we represent, our Tennessee Militia. This would have been, they fully expected to fight the Creeks when they got to Wetumpka at Fort Toulouse, but instead we are here at Horseshoe Bend. He started at Tallahatchie, then Talladega. Those that escaped out of Talladega made it here to Horseshoe Bend. We probed this area. They were attacked twice in trying to determine the strength of this area at Mutfall Creek and Chopco, and then they come back here in March. Now, so we're line militia, and he could use that militia, the militia on the battlefield, what we see typically, what looks kind of strange today in modern warfare techniques of marching in lines, out in straight lines, but that's how they fought in the 18th century. In the early 19th century, they still fought in lines on up into the Civil War. So you see that we're Tennessee Militia. We're going to do a firing drill. You'll see that we fire in mass volleys. 3 of us being the mass here today, but we're going to fire in a volley and execute these maneuvers. Then we'll march over in front of the line and answer any questions for you. Come. I do jump. Shoulder arch. To the right about. Face. Let's do it then. So back around. Come up to a do you want to face the front again? Do right about again. To the right about. Face. Before we do that, we're going to show you how one is loaded, because otherwise you'll just be looking at our backsides. Tom, why don't you take 2 steps forward? All right, so Tom is going to execute what we call load by word. I'll call out the commands. Back rank, rear rank, headings. Load by word. Open, pan. So here he flips open the prison. Handle, cartridge. Reaches in the back, pulls out a pre-made cartridge, and tears it off, and he's holding it ready to prime. Prime. Looks down, primes the pan, shut the pan. From there, charge cartridge. He's going to put the cartridge into the barrel, pulling out his ramrod. Ram down the cartridge. Rams his cartridge down. Return rammer. Comes back up to show me that he's ready to fire. Shoulder, arms. Take, ready. Elevate high. Set, aim, fire. And that's how it would go. Shoulder, arm. So those are the steps. To be in the Army, you had to have at least 2 teeth to be able to bite the cartridge. You'll see that what we're shooting is a blank today, but it is a cartridge. Got powder pouring out the bottom of it. It is a cartridge, would have a lead ball in it, but these are only paper with powder in it. So, attention. Shoulder, arm. To the right about. Face. Load by word. Open, pan. Handle, cartridge. Prime. Shut, pan. Charge, cartridge. Withdraw, rammer. Ram down, cartridge. Return, rammer.
Ready? You have your
Shoulder, arms. Make, ready. Take, aim, fire. Shoulder, arms. Everybody have a fire?
Yeah.
It's time we have a misfire.
That's him. Scared the birds. Why don't?
Make, ready. Take, aim, fire. Alright, so what we had there was called a misfire, that the spark off the flint didn't quite catch the spark, or didn't create a spark enough to set it off. This time you saw that we loaded by word. It looked rather slow, but those are the initial steps in it. But this time we're going to load it our quickest time. That's your quickest time. Prime and load.
It didn't. So now I didn't get used yet.
Make ready. Take aim. Fire. Prime and load.
Baby shiver, did you? Can I have that motion? Can I? The music. Here's your stick. Small stick.
Make ready. Take aim. Fire. Misfire, correct? Shoulder, arms. Going to attempt to clear the. You need some more power front? All right. Make ready. Take aim. Fire. Great. Go. Arms.
There's something on fire.
Well, everybody has to be about right. Right about face. Forward. Barge.
One.
Company.
Two.
Halt. Order. Arms. Rest. So that was a loading drill. That was initially that may have started. A lot of drills started with soldiers without arms until they learned basic maneuvers, called the School of the Soldier. Then they were given a weapon. This happens to be a 69 caliber Springfield. This was the musket of the day. It's a copy of the French model. They preferred the French model over the British Brown Bess. Brown Bess was 75 caliber. This is a 69 caliber. They fire one at a time, and they were supposed to be able to fire at a rate of 3 times a minute. 4 times if you're already loaded, so 3 times a minute. Some of us are able to get in that. Tom certainly is able to do a rapid fire of 3 times a minute. With that, we're using a flint ignition system that is a rock. It strikes the pan, strikes the prison, and makes sparks into the pan. The powder goes through a hole in the barrel that sets the main charge off. So today, a modern cartridge has a cap at the end of it. This one is using a rock to do the sparks. This system was used on up until they replaced it with a cap that's set down on the outside, but still using what's called a muzzle loader because it loads from the muzzle. Do you have any questions about firing? We'll start with the muskets and firing and the accoutrement and go with firing. So from the cartridge box to the musket. Yes, ma'am. He does. Well, in those days, to be in the militia, that's what most men had to do, that they mustered up every month to be able to form that standing army. And they found out during the War of 1812 that that wasn't the greatest of ideas, because a lot of the militias felt that they only could fight in that one particular state and would not have crossed state lines when they were trying to fight in the War of 1812. This is all part of it. We just happened to be in the southern part. They were afraid that the Creeks would ally themselves with the British, and they were trying to get weapons from the Spanish, and that's all part of the Creek Indian War. But to be in the militia, that's what we were. We were common citizens with just a common background, but joined up to come with Andrew Jackson to fight down into the Mississippi Territory, which would be where we are right now. And another question about these muskets, or yes, sir. Where can you get one? Well, you have to enlist first. Let me see your teeth. Now, you got enough to buy a cartridge. You are at least as tall as a musket. These are reproductions. They're not originals, but they are made on the same pattern today as an original was. When I called to get some parts for one, they said they're made off the same pattern as an original. So they are authentic to what they carried, although made with modern technology, but still the same musket. Another question about firing, or yes, sir.
This is a smooth bore and not very accurate. What would be the best range to be?
Best range of fire would be within 50 yards. They marched up within 50 yards before they started firing. Initially, I think they just said, make ready, no aim, just fire. There wasn't an aim in it. You're close enough. They are massing musket ball down range, but they are accurate. I've got one book that has up to 300 yards they set targets out. I guess I could aim that high in mine, but I don't want to stand with even 300 yards away if I know somebody's shooting one at me. But they are, just like a shotgun today, they do drop. That round ball doesn't have a lot of energy to it, and that's why they went with the bigger ball, up to 69, which is huge by today's standards and smokeless. But they did get within that 50-yard range. That was where they wanted to be. You march those lines out, and they could move those lines by being able to order the men and execute. You could face any direction, face a cavalry charge, whatever had to happen on the battlefield. But flankers might have rifles, so Jackson did have a lot of rifles. That's what a lot of the militia would have carried their own rifles. But muskets are so much easier and faster to load. Rifles take a long time to load, although they are more accurate.
When did they choose the 69 except for the 70?
Well, they went with the 69 during the American Revolution. The French started sending muskets over to help the Americans. When the French decided to help the American cause, we got a lot of the 69 calibers. Some of them were leftovers from the American Revolution, and they may not have been in the best of shape, but in 1795, the American Army started producing them. Not saying that Jackson had access to all of those, because of the new Army and being in Tennessee and militia, they didn't have what the regulars had. Now, he had the 39th Infantry with him that came out of Tennessee, so they would have been equipped with Springfields. The militia may not have. That was a good question. All right, you see that we're dressed in militia uniform. Regulars wore the shako hat, the tall tombstone-looking hat made out of leather. They wore uniform. This is the uniform of militia. Jackson told the men out of Tennessee to get blue or brown frocks for their units. You see that we're wearing trousers now, no knee breeches. We have on lace-up shoes, hunting knife, but the cartridge box goes along with the rifle. With the musket, if we were carrying a rifle, we would have different gear for that, powder horn, and a rifleman's bag. But the fringe coat, that was the closest thing to a uniform as they would have had, which would be, the fringe would be different colors for different units, so that they could identify each other on the field. But by then, the style of the hat had changed, and it was a top hat. But you see just a little bit of variety in dress. The white pant was kind of a summer uniform, but it was also a dress uniform. Anything else, question-wise? Well, the officers enlisted. The sergeant would have had a red wool sash. The sergeant would have, the officer would have silk. But then when they got into the officers, they had epaulets that went on right or left or both before that. And in those days, a salute was just simply to grab the hat. Initially, I read that it was to take the hat off, but they started wearing their hats out, taking them on and off. So it just came up to here as a salute. That's a good question. And you may have noticed that I carried my rifle or musket on the right. Everybody else carries theirs on the left. That's probably different from if you served in the military and how they carry muskets today, but that was how they carried them with the flint on the outside, on the left side. This was the sergeant's carry. And while they were marching, they could carry their muskets in different ways. We go through just a couple of them. Shoulder. Let's go back to attention. Come on. We're going to put this right there. Nobody asked about the bayonet. I'll say that next. Come. Come. Shoulder. Arms. Slope. Arms. Well, they may have done this when as they were marching, if that's one way just to alleviate the pressure off of standing straight up. But to come back here, there's a slope arm, especially do that when you're walking under low-hanging branches. Carry arms, back to the side. Okay, then we're going to trail arms. Trail arms, they carried it while they march. Shoulder arms. Support arms. Which is just a hug on the muscle while they carry it, or they could drop the one and carry it like this. So those are different ways to alleviate as they carry. Carry arms. So go right back to the side.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to order arms. So the bayonet. The bayonet was attached at the